Hey, welcome back to a new video interview. This time we have my friend Tiff as well, and as our guest we have Daniela Pansini. Tell me if I pronounced your last name right.
Yeah, it's an Italian one. Maybe that's why. Hi everyone. So
Hey,
it's Pansini.
Pansini.
Pretty close.
What is your disability?
So for everyone watching, I'm Daniela Pansini. I'm 21, and I'm 26. Sorry, I don't know why I said 21. Just my brain is like buzzing. I have spastic cerebral palsy, which affects mainly my legs and my torso. So my level, I'll say my level is like T10 approximately. So that's what I have. And do you know anything about cerebral palsy at all, or is it new for you?
When I know some, but I know that every diagnosis is different, every case.
Yeah. So as for brain injuries and spinal cord injuries, also cerebral palsy diagnoses are very different from one to another. So it can be various types. I have the most common type, which affects like 80% of people with cerebral palsy. Mine is it could be for, you can have cerebral palsy for various reasons. Mine, it's because I was born prematurely, so so I suffered from a lack of oxygen when I was born, and that caused me a brain injury, which caused the problem that I have today. So basically, my brain doesn't know how to tell my legs how to work. So my nerves don't work the proper way. Everything is fine, in my body, nothing is broken, but my nerves didn't develop as they are supposed to. So that's why I'm on a wheelchair. I have a small mobility, so I can walk with assistance for a few steps, but I mainly use a wheelchair to get around and to be more independent. So that's briefly what it is all about.
Yeah, because sometimes there are like different mobility aids for different cases, as walkers, wheelchairs, and stuff.
Yeah, and also I think it's an important thing to choose what mobility aid you prefer and you feel more comfortable in. So for me, it's right now, it's a wheelchair. I used to walk like in PT with a walker, or they would try to get like me on my legs and use crutches and stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm mainly choosing to use a wheelchair because I feel I'm more independent in it. So I think that's a really big thing to realize, that because sometimes you just don't know all the options and you stick with one, but you're not fully happy with it or independent with it. So that's my thought about this.
Yeah. Currently, do you deal with chronic pain or some sort of pain?
Yes, yes, I do. I have so because of my brain injury, the sensation I get to my legs is I can get some sensation to my legs, but it's compromised. I mean, it's a partial sensation or a modified sensation from the, I mean, everyday normal able body sensation they have on legs. So I mainly have spasms because my legs try, my brain tries to send like messages to my legs, but it doesn't really work. So that's what's causing the spasms. And then I also have tightness in my legs because my brain is constantly trying to maybe send messages to my legs, and even if I don't want to move or I didn't choose to move, my brain doesn't once it doesn't have like it doesn't relax in whatever hour of the day. So it's constantly trying to fix my body. So that's why I have really tight muscles and spasms a lot of the time. I can manage it. I do a lot of stretching and therapy for that, mainly yoga, because PT is really difficult to schedule sometimes with all going on in everyone's life. So I taught myself how to do adaptive yoga and adaptive stretching by myself, so I could manage the days when I have spasms or my muscles are really tight. So the answer is yes. I have spasms or pain due to my injury.
Yeah, sometimes like I understand the nerves try to do connections with your lower body
Mm-hmm.
so that you can move, right?
Yeah, yeah. Basically, my brain doesn't know how to stop. Once it once it kind of tries to send some kind of message to my legs to move, it doesn't stop. It could be at night or in the morning. It depends on the day. It's not every day. Some days my legs are just asleep, if we can say it like that. But some days I do have pain, and I do try to avoid pain in whatever I can. So
Yeah. Yeah, because pain is not so fun.
yeah, yeah, not at all.
Do you use any mobility aids?
Yes, I do. As I was telling earlier, I choose to use a wheelchair to get around, mainly because I can walk for long distances. I only can do some steps, and I get really tired. So it's very demanding for my brain and my body. So I mainly like to use a wheelchair to get around, and that's basically it. I have crutches, and I used to have a walker when I was little, just because I would train and see if I could walk like for long distances or for inaccessible places. But right now, I choose to use a wheelchair.
Yeah, sometimes use a wheelchair could be more easier to control pain or other things. For example, when I was little, I used a walker, but eventually my hips became like dislocated, and to make my life easier and less complicated, I decide, well, as a family, we decide to use a wheelchair to make it easier.
Yeah, that's mainly the reason I chose. I don't really chose it, but I now really own my wheelchair because I think it's a great way to um, get around for me in order not to get too much pain or to be as fully as independent as I can be. So that's mainly why I use a wheelchair. I now live, I've been living alone for 5 years now. For this COVID situation, now I'm back to my parents, but when I first started to live alone, that's when I really realized my wheelchair was my independence.
Yeah.
Just because I just needed to do everything by myself, and the easiest way and the painless way I could find is my wheelchair. So I now really own and appreciate my wheelchair for doing that.
And for some getting more independence.
Yeah.
What are some of the struggles you face on a daily basis that are specifically related to your disability? Like I don't know, whatever you want to tell us, physical, mental, or whatever you want to share.
Mm-hmm. I have to think about this. Like, I don't have like a proper response to this question right now, but I'll say mainly is prejudice against my disability. Like every disability, it has a big part of it. It's how other people view us as disabled or people in a wheelchair or with a mobility aid or disability. So my biggest struggle, everyday struggle, is showing people and proving to people that I can do whatever I set my mind to, even if I'm on a wheelchair and even if I have a brain injury. Because sometimes when I explain I have a brain injury, even if it affects also it affects my muscles and not my speaking or my thinking or my education in whatsoever way, I have to constantly remind people that I am capable of doing some things academically and in the academic field or in the professional field. I have been in some working situation where I had to explain or where I have to prove that I was capable of doing some things, and that I didn't need any help besides maybe physical help in moving myself or having an elevator in the building or something like that. So that should be pretty like extent response to this. So it's mainly the prejudice and the things I struggle the most.
Sometimes the bigger struggles that we have as people with disabilities are the society and our environment that is not fully adapted.
What is one thing you want people to know about your disability?
That that must be that is not necessarily something that enables my ability to have good grades or to be capable in an academic environment. I mean, some people can have problems with needing some help, like studying or doing some academic work, but it is not a requirement. I don't know if it's the good word for it. It is not because of my brain injury that I have also studying problems or speaking problems or whatsoever. So that's a big one. Yeah, that I should say what I want people to know is that my disability is not necessarily linked to my capability. So that's mainly the thing I would say.
And what is the misconception that sometimes people have about your disability or diagnosis?
The misconception. I mean, I think I already in some way responded to this question. Is that I think people believe that because I have a brain injury, I have also other type of disability, and that is not the case. So
yeah,
that's what I find sometimes annoying and sometimes difficult to explain people.
yeah. Sometimes it doesn't mean that by having cerebral palsy, it doesn't mean that you're not able to do or capable to do things, you know?
Yes, like with every disability. I mean, that's a big misconception about every disability, but I think it's particularly with cerebral palsy just because it has to do with the brain. So sometimes uneducated people or just lazy people that would not research about it, they just think it's something it can affect all your brain, and it can be, but it's not always the case. So
What is one thing you wish you could change about your disability, if there's any?
I mean, I don't like to think about my disability this way, just because in real life there's nothing I can change about it. So I rather embrace it and try to work with it and to live with it without thinking about what I dislike or what I rather not have about my disability. But if I had to choose something, that would be maybe spasticity and tightness to my legs and pain in general, because as we said earlier, it could be limiting to have limited motion to your legs due to muscle tightness and pain because of it. So
yeah, sometimes instead of thinking how to change the disability or how to change things, sometimes we have to overcome those things and embrace those things.
Can you? What are some challenges you face with your disability?
So physical challenges, I would definitely say the fact that I cannot move easily, but I mean that comes with every mobility, every physical disability that affects motion. So that's the main difficulty I get when I have to move somewhere or to plan. Yes, the one thing I really find sometimes difficult is to plan. I have to plan ahead. Everything I have to plan ahead and be sure that where I'm going is accessible, or that I'm going with someone that can really help me if the place isn't accessible. If I have to plan for everything. So from how much time I get to dress myself and take a shower and do my makeup in the morning, I have to plan ahead in order to be on time, just because it takes more time for me to do certain things. So that doesn't mean I can't do them, but it does mean that I need more time for it. So that's one main, I think, challenge I face when it comes to my disability. Planning is crucial, at the same time crucial and sometimes daunting, because you really, the things you can do light-minded are very few. For myself, I really need to be with someone I trust in order to not plan where and how I'm doing things. So
Yeah, sometimes I think that what society needs to think about is that for us as people with disabilities, it takes more time to do things that people or without a disability that can make their things by their own. Sometimes for us, it takes more time.
yeah, I think there's a big problem there, because if you ask any able-bodied, they would say it's obvious that someone who's disabled or has a wheelchair has to have or needs more time to do things. But then when it comes to everyday planning, sometimes people tend to forget that, or just to not think about it because they are not used to live with it day by day. So it's our job sometimes to remind people that we need more time, or that we need certain things in order to be ready, or not anxious about something. So that I definitely support the thing that we have to speak up, and we have to ask for what we need, and tell people what we need. And sometimes it's just time, just as simple as that, but it's true. So
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you to allowing us to do this interview with us, and for you wanting to do this with us. And thank you so much. Anything you want to add, Tiff or Danny?
thank you for having me. I just was really excited about this, just because I really believe that speaking about disability is really important. So thank you for having me and for giving me this opportunity.
You're
So,
welcome. And as I say, videos will be up every week. And if you like this video, please give it a like, share, subscribe, and comment. Thank you, Jenny and Tiff.
bye.
Bye.